Morning breaks gently in Kingston. Caribbean sunlight filters through quiet streets, birdsong replacing applause, and time moves without urgency. Glen Washington built a career in that same spirit, a reggae voice that has lasted over 50 years without ever chasing a hit. As the saying goes, if soul music teaches you how to feel, Lovers Rock teaches you how to stay. But before the songs, there was a boy raised on drums, discipline, and patience. And that story begins with his early life and career. Glen Washington was born Glen Roy Washington on July 17, 1967, in Clarendon Parish, Jamaica, an area often associated with May Pen and its surrounding rural communities. He grew up during a defining era for Jamaican music, when roots reggae carried spiritual weight and sound systems doubled as classrooms. Music wasn't an ambition yet. It was atmosphere. Washington's entry into music came early and without ceremony. In the early 1970s, he began performing as the lead singer for a local band called Names and Faces. It was a modest start, but it placed him on stage, in rehearsal rooms, and inside Jamaica's working musician circuit. Soon after, he joined 35 Incorporated, continuing as lead vocalist. That band would quietly change his life. At the time, 35 Incorporated's drummer was Joseph Hill, who would later form the legendary group Culture. Hill wasn't just keeping time, he was teaching. Under his guidance, Washington learned the discipline of drumming, restraint, patience, and the importance of serving the song. When Hill left the band to pursue his own path, Washington stepped into the drummer's seat himself. It was an unusual transition. He became both drummer and singer, a dual role that would define his career. From that point on, Washington lived two musical lives at once. Throughout the 1970s and into the 1980s, he worked full-time as a drummer, performing with bands such as the Avengers, the Titans, and Happiness Unlimited. He also played with Stepping Stone, where, according to some accounts, Joseph Hill continued shaping his rhythmic instincts. During these years, Washington recorded sparingly as a solo vocalist, but constantly as a studio drummer, lending his timing and feel to countless sessions for other artists. It was invisible work and invaluable training. By 1978, Washington recorded his first notable solo success, Rockers Not Crackers, released on Joe Gibbs Records. The song marked his early breakthrough as a recording artist, though it didn't immediately turn him into a star. Instead, it confirmed something more important. His voice belonged. The 1980s expanded his horizon. In 1982, Washington relocated to the United States with Happiness Unlimited, settling initially in Detroit, Michigan. There, he continued performing and recording while moving between Jamaica, Canada, and the U.S. He built a reputation as a reliable, versatile drummer, collaborating in various capacities with artists such as Stevie Wonder, Leroy Sibbles, Shinehead, and producer Coxsone Dodd. For American audiences, he was often behind the scenes. For musicians, he was essential. It wasn't until the late 1990s and early 2000s that Washington's voice moved decisively to the foreground. The 2000s became his most prolific era as a singer, anchored by a steady run of albums that defined modern lovers' rock and conscious reggae. Starting with Wandering Stranger, 2000, on Studio One and Number One Girl, 2000, on VP Records, Washington released project after project without interruption. Titles like Free Up the Vibes, Your Love, Wanna Be Loved, and The Right Road established him as a mature, emotionally grounded artist, not chasing charts, but cultivating trust. That consistency continued across decades. Destiny, 2008, Masterpiece, 2012, Vibes, 2013, Time of My Life, 2017, I'm Livin' Well, 2020, Mr. Washington, 2022, Jaw Children, 2023, and Just Giving Thanks, 2025. Few reggae artists have maintained such output without reinvention gimmicks. Washington didn't evolve by changing direction. He deepened it. His career was built slowly, first on drums, then on devotion. And that discipline shaped not only his music, but the life he chose to live. Which brings us to where that voice now rests. Kingston Home. A calm house for a calm voice. For Glen Washington, home is not a statement. It's a system. A place designed to protect rhythm, routine, and rest. His Kingston residence reflects that philosophy with surprising clarity. Modern, secure, and quietly intentional. The house itself is a fully furnished 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home that balances contemporary comfort with a distinctly Caribbean sense of calm. Nothing here feels excessive, yet everything feels considered. Step inside and the first impression is light. Natural light moves easily through the space, amplified by upgraded fixtures and a coastal-inspired interior palette that keeps the atmosphere open and breathable. The finishes lean modern and practical. Full stainless steel fixtures bring durability and cleanliness, while the lighting has been updated to create warmth rather than drama. This is not a show home designed for visitors. It's a living space designed for someone who values consistency. The furniture choices are contemporary but restrained. Clean lines, soft textures, and colors that don't compete for attention. The effect is grounding. What truly defines the house, however, is how well it functions in the Jamaican context. A whole-house water filtration system ensures reliability and quality, paired with a private water tank. A quiet but essential feature in Kingston living. Storm-resistant windows offer protection during hurricane season, reinforcing the idea that this home is built for longevity, not aesthetics alone. Security is comprehensive but discreet. Cameras are installed throughout the property, providing peace of mind without turning the home into a fortress. It's the kind of security setup chosen by someone who wants to live normally, not nervously. Safe enough to forget it's there. Outside, the private garden becomes the emotional center of the home. It's not landscaped for spectacle, but for stillness. A space to sit, breathe, and reset. For an artist whose career depends on emotional control and vocal longevity, this garden isn't decorative, it's functional. And that naturally raises the next question. How does a career built on patience, touring, and timeless music translate into financial stability, income, and net worth? For an artist like Glen Washington, money was never meant to be loud. His career spans more than 5 decades, beginning in the 1970s with early recordings like Rockers Not Crackers, and extending into recent releases well into the 2020s. That kind of longevity rarely produces sudden wealth, but it does produce stability. There are no verified public sources that document Washington's exact net worth in US dollars. And in reggae, especially outside the pop mainstream, such figures are often unreliable or inflated by speculation. What matters more is how the income is earned, slowly, consistently, and across multiple streams. Music sales and streaming royalties form one steady layer. With over 30 albums released through respected labels such as VP Records, Penthouse, and Studio One, Washington benefits from long-tail revenue. Reggae albums don't spike overnight, but they age well. Listeners return to them. Platforms reward catalog depth, not hype. Live performances remain a central pillar of his income. Washington continues to tour internationally, appearing at festivals and reggae events across the Caribbean, North America, and Europe. For American audiences, this model is closer to a veteran soul singer or jazz artist. Fewer stadiums, but packed rooms filled with people who came to listen, not just attend. Songwriting and publishing add another layer of sustainability. Tracks like Kindness for Weakness, Consider Me, and One of These Days generate royalties whenever they are performed, streamed, or licensed. Ownership of one's voice, in this context, becomes financial discipline. Behind the scenes, Washington has also earned income as a producer and as a drummer for hire. Long before he was widely recognized as a singer, he built his reputation in studios across Jamaica, Canada, and the United States. That versatility created income even when spotlight moments were limited. And when income is built this way, it often shapes how an artist gives back. Not through grand gestures, but through quiet responsibility. Philanthropy. For Glen Washington, generosity has never been a brand strategy. It's a habit, one that operates quietly, away from headlines, and often without formal credit. One of the most visible efforts he has supported is Friends of Porous, an organization dedicated to improving life in porous Jamaica. Washington has backed their annual charity dinners, including events held in New York, which raise funds for education, health support, and community development projects in rural Jamaica. These gatherings are less about spectacle and more about connection. Members of the Jamaican diaspora pooling resources to uplift the places they come from. He has also supported Jamaican hurricane relief efforts, particularly in the aftermath of destructive storms that repeatedly impact the island. Following major hurricanes, including events linked to recovery efforts after Hurricane Melissa, Washington appeared at benefit programs and fundraising events aimed at rebuilding homes, restoring infrastructure, and supporting displaced families. Some of these initiatives channeled resources through efforts such as the Hard Rock Heals Fund, while others took the form of community-led drives like Helping Jamaica Build Back. His role was rarely front and center, but it was present. Beyond named organizations, Washington is frequently described as an advocate for broader humanitarian concerns in Jamaica: poverty reduction, access to education, youth empowerment, support for the arts, and environmental awareness. These efforts often unfold informally: donations to local causes, participation in benefit concerts, and personal support for families and communities in need. In reggae culture, this type of giving is deeply respected. It's not about tax receipts or press releases. It's about showing up. Washington gives because he feels obligated to the places and people that shaped him. And when giving is done this way, it often reveals more about a person than any interview ever could. That same quiet discipline defines how he lives behind the scenes, in his family life, his relationships, and the boundaries he keeps between fame and home. Personal life. At the center of it is his relationship with Jackie White, his wife and manager, a partnership that blends love with professional discipline. The two have appeared together frequently, on stage and off, performing duets such as Let It Be Me at events like Rebel Salute, and speaking openly in interviews and podcasts about how they met and how they work together. Their relationship is often described as balanced. Jackie handles the logistics, while Glen protects the music. That balance has been essential. Washington has never presented a polished, simplified version of his family life. In an October 2024 interview during a visit to Kenya, he spoke candidly about having 5 children with 3 different mothers, a statement that sparked discussion, but also reflected a consistent trait in his character. He does not rewrite his past to fit an image. In reggae culture, especially among older artists, transparency often matters more than perfection. What defines Washington's personal life most clearly is not controversy, but responsibility. That was evident in May 2025, when a booking agent abruptly abandoned arrangements for planned shows in the UK and Germany. Faced with the possibility of cancellation, Washington made a difficult decision. Rather than walk away or blame others, he personally covered more than $8,000 in expenses, including travel costs for his team, to ensure the UK show went forward. Jamaican media, including the Jamaica Gleaner, framed the incident not as scandal, but as character. He wasn't contractually required to step in. He did it to protect fans, promoters, and the trust he had built over decades. In an industry where artists are often advised to protect themselves first, Washington chose to protect relationships. Thank you for staying with us through this entire journey into Glen Washington's life and music. By watching, you help preserve stories built on discipline, love, and longevity, not trends. And before you go, leave a comment below. Which Glen Washington song speaks to you the most, and why? We'll see you in the next story.